Hello everyone, I'm Matt Mitrovich, the Alternate Historian. Patreon-sponsored map analysis today, where we will look at a map from Europe in a world where Germany won World War I. This is Kaiserreich, 1936, by Meletis Atterdag, an alternate cartographer whose work you can find on DeviantArt and AlternateHistory.com. This map showcases what Europe looks like in 1936 in the computer game mod Kaiserreich. For those who don't know, Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg, which is the German word for World War, is a popular mod for the grad strategy games Hearts of Iron 2, Darkest Hour, a Hearts of Iron game, and Hearts of Iron 4 by Paradox Interactive. Back in the long ago, when I had a lot of free time and no money, I played a ton of Hearts of Iron 2. It was one of my favorite computer games, but I never did get into playing the different mods that were out there. Nevertheless, as an alternate historian, I was still familiar with Kaiserreich and its story. As I mentioned previously, it's set in a timeline where Germany wins World War I after they decide not to continue unrestricted submarine warfare, and because of that, America never enters World War I as they did in our timeline. Thus, the post-war map of Europe is drawn by the Central Powers instead of the Allies at Versailles, and you get to play as one of the many alternate nations existing in this timeline. Now, I could talk about the plausibility of such a scenario, but I have been asked by a patron to actually review Kaiserreich, so expect a full plausibility review of that timeline later. I can still talk about the map itself, though. Now, when I originally asked Meletis permission to review his map, he told me to go easy on him. But to be honest, I have no idea why he is so concerned, because this map is great. The color is easy on the eyes, there is a ton of details included, such as the placement of cities, and realistic borders, which all highlight how much work must have gone into Kaiserreich 1936 to create it. Plus, I love the faded look it has and the wear and tear worked in. It makes the map look more like some aging document unearthed in a long-forgotten archive, which for any historian is always a treat. You can also tell a lot about this world from just looking at the map. The Central Powers are still together and have even expanded. For example, Austria-Hungary now includes Montenegro, and Bulgaria now owns Macedonia, among other territories. Germany is looking like it's having a good couple of decades too, what with its control of several neighboring states through Mittel Europa. Now, in our timeline, Mittel Europa, or Middle Europe, was a proposed economic and cultural union of Central Europe led by the German Empire, so they could better financially exploit, share the benefits of civilization with their neighbors. Now, Germany losing World War I put the kibosh on that idea. Unless you want to be nasty and say the European Union is just a modern-day version of Mittel Europa. But in the timeline of Kaiserreich, it exists as an actual economic and military alliance that links Germany with the puppet states it's carved out of Russia and Belgium. I was, however, surprised that Poland wasn't a part of this alliance. In our timeline, Poland was occupied through much of World War I by Germany, which even proposed an independent Polish kingdom to legitimize their occupation, but it never took off because Germany lost the war. In the Kaiserreich universe, this Polish kingdom is a reality, but they are outside of Middle Europa because the Germans and Austro-Hungarians can't decide on whether to put a German or Austrian on the throne. This seems unlikely to be an issue in my opinion, since Germany dominated all aspects of Polish life during the war, and Austria-Hungary became more and more dependent on German military aid just to survive. Thus, Austria-Hungary probably wouldn't have much of a say about who gets to sit on the Polish throne after the war. Then, of course, there's the former Entente, who don't seem to be looking all that good. Britain is now called the Union of Britain, which the Kaiserreich wiki tells me is a socialist state, although I initially thought it was a fascist state since its name sounds like it was inspired from Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists in our timeline. Britain has also lost Northern Ireland as well. There are also two Frances in this alternate history. First, you have the Commune of France, which is a syndicalist nation. Now, I'm no expert on the subject, but my brief research tells me that syndicalism is a political theory related to socialism, where workers, industries, and other organizations are organized in confederations, or syndicates, which are then managed by the workers. Representatives of these units will then work together to manage the economy. Then we have National France, which is the French government in exile that maintains control of France's North African colonies. It is led by a military dictatorship which wants to retake France, but considering how few French nationals would likely be living within their borders, and the restless natives who would have no interest in shedding blood to retake France, my guess is this country won't have a long shelf life. Surprisingly, Russia isn't a Soviet Union in this world, and instead is a republic. A little digging through the Kaiserreich wiki tells me they are still led by Alexander Kerensky, who in our timeline briefly led the Russian provisional government that overthrew the Tsar, before being overthrown himself by Lenin in the October Revolution of 1917. Although considering all of the new independent states carved out of the former Russian Empire, my guess is Russia isn't doing so hot in this alternate timeline. The rest of the Entente isn't much better off. Belgium is now the German puppet state of Flanders-Wallonia, Italy is split between the Italian Federation and the Socialist Republic of Italy, Serbia is even smaller than it was at the start of the Great War, and Romania, called Iron Guard Romania on the map, is a right-wing military dictatorship. I could go into more detail, but like I said, I'll probably do more of that when I tackle the entire Kaiserreich timeline. In conclusion, World War I alternate histories may not be as popular as its sequel, but that doesn't mean you can't create some imaginative alternate histories out of the conflict. The people behind Kaiserreich did just that, and Meletus certainly enhanced their world with his excellent map, which looks so much better than the simple screenshots of Europe from the game that I see when I try googling maps of Kaiserreich. Meletus put some real effort into Kaiserreich 1936, and I think he should be applauded for it. Well, that is all I have to say on the subject. If you like what I do, please comment, subscribe, share this video, support me on Patreon. I'm Matt Mitrovic, the alternate historian. Bye.